Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today is May 3rd. May 3rd is the day that the 2022 to 2023 annual catalog launches. Yay! I'm so excited about this catalog. There's all kinds of amazing things inside of it, and today I'm doing my card from the catalog video, which means we get to do a card out of this new catalog. I'm so excited about this. So while there's tons of great new things in this catalog, I have decided to start with the Hues of Happiness suite, which is my favorite suite. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be this one. Out of this whole catalog. I'm really excited about this. I love the images, I love the sentiments, I love the colors, and I forgot to bookmark my page. So, we'll just start with the table of contents. Let me flip cameras. Okay, so here's the cover, which you've probably been seeing for a while, but now, today's the day we get to open this up live online and see what's inside. And as much as I would love to sit and walk through the whole catalog with you today, I think I'm going to save that, and we'll do that another day. But today I want to do the card from a catalog. So it's Hues of Happiness on page 108 and 109. Let's just get right to it. Look at these colors. Aren't these amazing? These are all favorite colors, and I love them together. They're just perfect. So this just screams summer and spring and flowers, and it just makes me happy. Oh, which Hues of Happiness makes sense, doesn't it? These are happy hues. So this suite comes with it includes 3 items. Well, I guess 4 technically, because one of the items is the Happiness Abounds bundle, and this bundle is the stamps and the dies. Let me just show those to you. So we'll be using all the images except this one and this one, so all but 2, and then you can choose which sentiment you're going to use. I'm going to show you a card that I made with this one, but today I'm going to be using this one. So, you know how I love a great sentiment. Aren't those wonderful? They're beautiful, they're easy to read, and they say great things. Happy things. Okay, and then we have the Blossoming Happiness dies. So all of these dies coordinate really well with the images. And then this one, let me just show you this card real quick that you can find on my blog this week. And this one just it cuts and embosses at the same time. And that's what that looks like. And then these 2 are just something you would use along the edge. This one looks like a spiral, and this is just dashes. So I haven't used these yet, but I'm going to be honest, one of the reasons why I love this set is this die right here. I can't wait to use that. And then we have the embellishments. These are the Glossy Dots assortment. I love these. They're so pretty with such vibrant colors. I will admit though, the card I'm using today, I am going to actually use the brushed brass butterflies instead. I love these so much. I've almost used every one of them, and in fact have to start a new pack today. What a terrible problem to have. You hear that sarcasm? I love those butterflies. I use them all the time. But these are great too. And like I said, I love these colors and can't wait to use these on a project. Just not today. And then the final thing that we have is the Designer Series paper. Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. Okay, so this, of course, they're all double-sided. This is perfect for a background. And aren't these florals just gorgeous? And then another great one for a background. Love these blues and purples. And then you flip it over and you have blue and purple flowers. Aren't those gorgeous? I'm going to say gorgeous a lot. Just warning y'all now. Because, like I said, I'm pretty much in love with this whole thing. Okay, we've seen that one. More tiny florals. And then, of course, more flowers. And the fun thing is, so those dies, let me just grab them real quick. Look at this, y'all. So you can cut out the, what are these called? The leaves with these. And then this one will cut out this big flower. Pretty sure. There it is. Just have to get it lined up. And then I believe this one cuts out this one. So all of the images, or at least quite a few of them, not all of them, but most of them can be used with these dies. So you can cut straight from the designer series paper. Did you see the back of that one? So pretty. But I think, yeah, we're repeating now. Aha, this one's new. I love that Night of Navy background with all these bright flowers on top. And then another fun, just painted background. And then everything else you've already seen. So, let me just put that to the side. Aren't those pretty though? I'm so excited. Y'all, I could use this paper with, I think, any stamp set. And it's going to be really hard not to just focus on this designer series paper for the whole rest of the year. Because it's just great. It's gorgeous. So, so pretty. Okay, so the card from the catalog that we're doing today, I'm making a card from it. It's actually not a card in the catalog. It's actually this scrapbook page right here. So I think they've done a 6x6 scrapbook page, and we're just turning that into a 5.5 by 4 1/4 card front. It really was very easy to switch this around to a card, but I love the scrapbook page. This is great if you're a scrapbooker, but if you're not, it makes a gorgeous card. So let's get started on that. I will say in the catalog, oops, they used the dies to cut out the flowers. And before they did that, they heat embossed the outlines on them. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's not what I did. I had to change it up and be a little different. So let me show you what pieces you need first. You need a Night of Navy card base. I cut mine 4 1/4 by 11 inches and then scored it at 5.5 so that it stands up. Then I have a polished pink. Just kidding, this is Melon Mambo. So you have a Melon Mambo mat that is cut 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. And then this piece is cut from this piece here. So I cut 3 inches off the top of this piece, and then I cut this part at 5 1/4 inches. So this is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I cut it right out of the middle of this. So you can do the same. I like doing that because it looks like maybe bushes or trees in the background, and then this would be your ground, and then your sky's blue. I don't know. I just really like the way it looked, and it's what they did in the catalog, and I loved it, so I just stuck with it and decided to do the same thing. Okay, so then you need a 1 3/4 inch by 4 inch piece of this designer series paper here. and I forgot to cut that. So let me grab my paper trimmer. And I want 1 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches. So you can see my card here. I have all of these. I heat embossed the flower outlines with white embossing powder on watercolor paper, our Fluid 100 water paper. And I really like it, but I decided today, instead of using watercolor paper, I decided to use our shimmery white cardstock. I just love the shimmer. So I went ahead and did quite a few of my flowers and my leaves, but I have 2 that I still need to do so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So you need 3 of this flower. You're going to need 2 of this flower. I've done 1. I'm fixing to do another one. You want 1 of each of the leaves, and then you want 1 of each of these little flower bundles. So I've already done this one, and I'm going to do the other one now. Before I stamp this, so here's my piece of shimmery white. Let me see if I can show y'all the sparkle on this. Oh, you can see it a little bit, can you? I think so. Isn't that cool? So the back of mine is dirty. Or stained. I think it's stained. Let me see if you can see the sparkle in one of these that's already stamped. A little bit. You see the shimmer and shine in that? I just love that extra stepped up touch. So before I show you that, I wanted to show you, this is an empty stamp case, and you can buy these from my online store. And I like to keep all my scraps of specialty paper in here. So I've got some gold foil, I've got some window sheets, I've got some vellum, I have some watercolor paper and some shimmery paper, and then this is specialty paper from one of the celebration, I think the celebration from last fall maybe. So I just like to keep all these little scraps in here, and it fits in a drawer on my desk. So it's handy whenever I'm doing projects like this. I didn't have to pull out a full sheet of paper today. I had enough little scraps to do all of these flowers. Okay, so I'll always start by getting the static out. If you don't have an embossing buddy, you can use a used dryer sheet to do that. I'm Stampin' Up my little rose. I like to get it nice and inked, and then press firmly. I'm just going to let it sit there for a minute. Not really a minute, but just for a second while I grab all my stuff. So I like to use my embossing powder with a tray or something to pour it in. A lot of people just take a sheet of like printer paper and fold it in half and crease it, and then they do it on top of that, and they can use that to pour their excess powder back into their little container. Just something. You want to have something to where your powder doesn't get everywhere and you can reuse it. Okay. So let's watch this magic. Make sure you're zoomed in good. You see that? Fingers were getting toasty. Okay, so now I'm going to use my embossing buddy on the other side. Did you see me struggling with my heat tool a little bit there? So I've been heating my cardstock from underneath lately, but I just didn't have enough room underneath my camera. So it wasn't working. Alright, so I'm going to take this, these flowers, this little bundle of flowers, and ink it up real good with my Versamark. I'm going to put it over here in the corner. That way I have just a little bit of this piece left. have a little bit right there. There we go. Okay. There we go. That's nice and embossed now. So now I can just pour this right back in my container, and it's ready to go next time. So my next step is to get a water painter. Okay, so for one of these, I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight. So the smaller flowers I'm going to use Daffodil Delight on. And I've already squeezed my ink pad, so I have a little bit of ink in the lid. You can also use an ink refill and just put a dab or, just a drop or two. And then I'm just going to paint over the whole thing because I'm going to be using my dies to cut this out. Okay, now for this next one, I'm going to grab my Melon Mambo, and this time I need to squeeze it. So I'm just squeezing it in the middle, and I have this nice palette of ink I can use now. So I recommend not getting your ink pad too wet, because you don't want ink dripping everywhere whenever you go to close your pad. And if you do get too much water in it, just grab a paper towel and just blot that up. And then you can just squeeze it again next time. And it's up to you how dark or how light you want your flowers to be. That's one of the great things about watercoloring instead of just cutting out your designer series paper. But y'all, I just love that designer series paper so much. I understand wanting to use the dies with it and cut it out because it's so much quicker, but this is one of those DSPs I think I'm going to hoard a little bit. I don't want to hoard it. I'm going to use it. I just want to use it wisely. I want to be able to use every inch of that paper without wasting any. So I have a microfiber cloth I just keep at my desk. And I'm just going to kind of buff off that embossing part where this flower is. Okay, so that's that. And then now I'm going to cut this out with my dies. So I have my mini embossing machine. I'm going to adjust this camera again. Okay, so I've got my plate 1 and plate 2, and I'm going to start with this larger flower. I'm just going to center it up under the die. And cut that out. My plates, as I run them through here, I don't know if you can see, but they are slightly crooked. They're not lined up perfectly, and I do that on purpose. It makes it easier to run through the smaller machine. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to use this die that matches this bunch of flowers. Same thing, I don't have these lined up perfectly. You can see it better now as it's coming through. So they're not perfectly lined up. It just makes it easier to start. I'm going to put that aside for a minute. We're going to be using the stitched rectangle dies in a minute. So, like I said, I'm going to save that because look, I could do another one of those or some leaves or something else small on that. And I like to save every little bit of my specialty paper. Okay, so now This is just basic white cardstock. It's just a scrap I grabbed out of my little scrap bin here. And I have this sentiment that says, "You are wonderful in every way." I'm going to grab my Night of Navy ink. Just inking that up. And stamping down. One tip with these photopolymer stamps, when you first get them, they're really, really sticky. Let me see if I have one I haven't used yet. So, nope, I've used, oh, okay, I might have used them all already. Yeah, I think I've used them all. Because like I said, I love this set. So, when you first get them, they're really, really sticky. So, before I emboss with them, I always like to clean them off first and just kind of get a little bit of that stickiness off. You still want them to be sticky, but maybe not super sticky, especially when you're stamping on the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, because they tend to really stick to that when you're stamping with Versamark. Just a little tip. Okay, so I'm grabbing my stitched rectangle dies, and that is perfect. So let's put that in here. I like to make sure it's pretty close to centered and straight. Little guy up, put him out of the way. And now we have all the pieces for our card. So now the fun happens. Okay, who am I kidding? All of it is fun, isn't it? I like every step of all this. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is take that Melon Mambo piece and my liquid glue. Glue this to my card base. I'm just going to center it right here on the front. And it doesn't leave you a lot of that blue, but I'm really liking this lately to have just the narrow, the really thin borders. Flip this one over. Make sure the blue is on top here. And it's all centered up nicely. Okay, next thing is this strip that goes near the bottom. Okay, so now the fun begins. I keep saying that like it's not already been fun. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is just basically lay all these out and figure out my spacing. So I'm going to start with the ones that go on the bottom. Let's see, one of these next. And I did, y'all, I basically did the same, well I did the same colors that were used in the catalog. And I'm doing the same basic layout. It's not going to be exact, but it's close to the same layout that's in the catalog. Just because when I'm casing these cards from the catalog, a lot of times it's partly to give my brain a break so I don't have to make so many decisions. If I already like it, I just tweak the things I want to do a little differently. Okay, so this one, I'll just put it like that, so it's a little bit over that pink rose. Oh yes, I like that. Okay, and then this will come down here. Alright, so I did all of this a little different. So usually, you know, you use liquid glue or you use dimensionals or glue dots, whatever you want to use, but I use a combination of all of that with this. So this one I'm going to just glue down. This one I'm going to glue down. Okay, so this one here is getting glued straight down. Ooh. Again, with the gluing it straight down. Okay, so before I move on, this one, I'm going to use a dimensional at the top. So it's going like this. So this part is the top. So I'm going to go ahead and put a dimensional there, and down here I'm using my glue. Okay, so I'm going to put that on here just like that. Be down a smidge. There we go. Making sure it's glued down. And then this one, oops, this one I'm gluing. This rose I'm gluing. There we go. This one I'm also gluing. And then this one, I'm going to use a dimensional on this side and then glue on the other side. So it's going to go over these flowers, just like so. Probably could have done with another dimensional there. There we go. Okay, and then this piece is also going to be put on with dimensionals. So I'm just going to do 3 across. Got it a little crooked. There we go. Okay, and now we get to add our butterflies. So, I'm going to go ahead and grab both packs of these. I'm going to finish up these here. And again, I'm doing the butterflies basically the same way they have them laid out in the catalog. I think I might be doing them a little different, but not much. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is the inside of the card. I always put, when I have a dark base like this, unless you want to write with a gel pen or a chalk pen, but I don't. So I'm going to put a basic white piece in here that measures 4 by 5 1/4. But before I put it in, I think I'm going to make this one be a birthday card. It says, "You are wonderful in every way." So I could add, "Sending many thanks for all you do" inside. But what I'm going to do is make it a birthday card. So I'm going to put "Happy Birthday." And I'm going to use that Night of Navy again. Okay, and then I want to add flowers to the bottom corner. So let me see what I did with my, there we go. Just want something under this because I'm probably going to be stamping off a little bit. Like stamping, I'm not stamping off and then stamping, I'm just stamping off the page, just a little bit. So I didn't want to stamp my desk. There we go. And then I'm going to take another little butterfly. I don't typically use embellishments inside of cards. I like my cards to be really flat. But look how flat these butterflies are. Like, they are super flat. So I don't mind using those inside cards at all. I just like to use them. Okay. So there's our card. Let me put this inside and then show you the difference between the watercolor and the shimmery papers. There we go. That looks pretty straight. Alright, so here is the one we just made. And then here's the one I did this weekend with watercolor paper. So they're very, very similar. I'm not sure you can really tell much of a difference at all online. You tell me. But let me move it closer. I'm going to go ahead and turn my focus back on. Don't like leaving it the autofocus on while I'm stamping because then it's constantly zooming in and out. Okay, so that's the watercolor paper on the flowers, and then this is the shimmery white cardstock. I'm hoping that you can pick up a little bit of that shimmer on your screen. Alright, so those are the two cards. If there is a card in this catalog that you would like to see me make on my weekly card from the catalog video, then let me know. Send me a comment, or comment on this video, or you can send me a message, whatever you want to do. And I'll do my best to make that card for you. It may not be exactly like what's in the catalog. It depends on what supplies I have on hand and what I don't, and if I'm making an order soon or not. But I like tweaking the cards or the other items, the other paper projects, like this scrapbook page into a card. I love doing that. So, if there's anything in there that you want to see, let me know, and I would be happy to take your request. And if you have any questions about this catalog, let me know, or just paper crafting in general. Before I leave, I wanted to let you know I have a new host code this month. It's R43R4EA2, and I'll put that up on the screen right there, so that you can see that. And then, so if you place an order in May 2022 under $150, then I would really appreciate it if you use that host code this month. Also, there's a joining special from May 3rd to May 31st that is really exciting. So if you like the new end colors, which are gorgeous, let me just show you these end colors real quick. So we have Orchid Oasis. We have Parakeet Party. Starry Sky. Let me just put them like this so you can see all of them. So these are somewhat similar, but they're not the same. They're different. Sweet Sorbet and Tahitian Tide. I love these colors. To me, they seem very tropical, very summery, very bright, happy colors. So if you like these in colors, you're going to love this joining special. If you're not already a demonstrator, then you can join Stampin' Up! May 3rd through May 31st, and in addition to what you get to pick for your kit, you also get all 5 of these in colors. You get the cardstock assortment, you get the ink pads, and you get the designer series paper, and one other thing, the grid paper, the in color grid paper. So you get all 4 of those things. I think in the US it's a $66.50 value. So that's a great value on top of what you're already getting in your kit. So it's a perfect time to sign up. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer those. You're not committed to sell Stampin' Up! When you sign up. You do get a discount, which is fun, and you get to see things before they're released to the public, which is also fun. Plus, it's just a great community of demonstrators. I really enjoy being a demonstrator, and I would love to have you on my team. So to join in the US, it's $99, and then you get to pick what's in your kit when you're your starter kit. You get to pick $125 worth of stuff to put in your starter kit, which is just too cool. It's fun to go shopping and do that. And then you also get these and all that other stuff I mentioned in your kit when you join this month. So super fun. Thank y'all for listening and for watching my video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I would love that. I love it when that ding happens. Alright, y'all have a great week. Happy stamping.